Mehdi Hasan was on Piers Morgan, I believe this was on Friday, New Zealand time, and he was on with Jonathan, I think it's Kourikos, who was a former IDF soldier and now an IDF spokesperson. And it was a really interesting observation of Piers Morgan playing the both sides. So in the first half of the interview, IDF guy Jonathan Kourikos was constantly interrupting, and Mehdi wasn't. In the second half, you can see Mehdi went, well, fuck you, then I'll interrupt. And at that point, Piers is a bit like, well, you say you don't want to be interrupted and you're interrupting. It's like, it's pretty pissy. But this is a pretty interesting and pretty disgusting interaction when Mehdi is laying out the facts and Jonathan, well, the way Mehdi tells it, may well be attempting to put a target on Mehdi's back.
I'm just going to say headphone warning.
Because of you? Is that what you're saying?
No, just because of this discussion. It's particularly good in headphones.
Ah, okay. Here we go.
He wants this war to continue for his own reasons, for the ideological reasons of his cabinet allies. And the military, the Israeli military has now come to its senses saying, this is not helping. This is the same Israeli military that has committed multiple war crimes. I mean, Jonathan talked earlier about, what the purpose of combat is. He said he was a proud IDF man. He's proudly part of a military that last week bombed a hospital not once, but twice. A double tap strike, according to CNN, triple tap strike, killing emergency responders, journalists, aid workers in front of our eyes. That is his glorious military. It's an Israeli military which, according to Nick Maynard, Piers, who you know, British doctor, I interviewed him last month, he said he treated Palestinian teenagers in his hospital in Gaza over the summer who were shot in the testicles, multiple children shot in the...
We covered this. This is what the belief is, that the IDF soldiers were sort of playing a game, because one day in the hospital, all these kids turned up being shot in the testicle, and the next day they all turned up being shot in the left thigh, and the next day they all turned up being shot in the right ankle. So they reckon that they were, I obviously wasn't there. I'm not saying they were literally making bets, but because of the areas that these kids were coming in being shot were also grouped like that, that they're assuming that the IDF were kind of going, what should we do today? Hey, let's shoot him in the dick and see what happens. So that's where that's coming from.
His hospital in Gaza over the summer, who were shot in the testicles, multiple children shot in the testicles by Jonathan's military, the same military that killed 15 paramedics in April, and then just buried them with their ambulances in the sand. They were buried in the sand by the Israeli military in April. They lied, the Israelis. They said, oh, the lights were off. We didn't know who they were. Hamas were firing. Turned out all to be a lie. You know what the Israelis did, Piers? They fired the deputy commander. That's it. Nobody went to prison. No one was charged. They murdered 15 people. That's the military that Jonathan's come to defend. The most immoral military right now in the world that is bombing hospitals in front of our eyes.
Jonathan?
Yeah, it's, it's various levels of ridiculous. But listen, Mehdi, there's been a job opening. Israel finally got rid of Abu Ubaidah, a very prolific and well-to-do Hamas
You've really got to get better with your Hamas.
Mehdi, get him.
Let's go back again. We'll try and let him just get the fuck off out there because it's beautiful. Here we go.
There's been a job opening. Israel finally got rid of Abu Ubaidah, a very prolific and well-to-do Hamas.
You've really got to get better with your Hamas propaganda. You're a racist,
small man.
genocidal, war criminal. You support war criminals. Well, you're trying to put a target on me? Are you and Elon Levy trying to put a target on me? Are you trying to put a target on me? You keep saying I'm Hamas, and you support killing Hamas.
You've done it with Elon, and it won't work with me, little Mehdi. Little Mehdi, you've done that shtick with Elon, it doesn't impress me. But I'm telling you is that if you improve your Arabic just a bit,
you keep saying I'm Hamas based on nothing.
If you improve your Arabic just a bit, I think you are well on track to become a very prolific spokesperson for Hamas.
Your troops engaged in sexual violence against Palestinian women.
Abu Ubaidah.
You're being investigated in the International Criminal Court. You are part of an army that is committing genocide, Jonathan.
Mehdi, you are touting Hamas's propaganda lies. You are regurgitating things from April and from September.
The genocidal Israeli military.
let me
things,
jump in. Let me
but
jump
you
in.
are
Jonathan,
failing
let me jump in,
genocide of the
please.
Israeli military.
All right,
And
Jonathan,
now you want to kill every journalist
Jonathan.
that speaks out against
Yeah,
you. You
Jonathan.
killed
No, not
5
at
journalists
all.
last week. Now you
Jonathan,
want to
on
kill
that,
me?
Jonathan,
But I think you would do
You
an
killed 5
excellent
journalists
job
last
at
week,
replacing
Jonathan.
Abu Ubaidah.
Your
and I'm
military
sure
killed
Hamas
5
would be
journalists.
happy to
let me
have
ask
you.
a
And
question,
you're doing
please.
a great job. And you're doing a great job as Julius Streicher.
All right,
as
let me
radio
ask a question,
announcer,
because nobody can hear either of you.
propagandist
Nobody
in
can hear
history.
either of you.
That's how history will.
There you go. There's clip number 1. I've got another clip to play, Chewie, but
I assume
that- I was
Piers
gonna say that's got to be
nipped
that's
out
got to be
put some more money in the meter or something.
that's got to be the most satisfying "oh fuck off" in the history of the world, like the most
100%
satisfying
deserved.
in the history of the world.
You can just tell from that Mr. fucking IDF fatneck over there was just like he'd worked out what he was going to say in the green room before they went live.
Yeah.
And he's workshopped with his mates and goes, "Oh, I'm going on an interview with Mehdi Hasan. I'm going to hit him with this. I'm going to hit that. I'm not going to say that we should drone strike him, but I'm going to suggest that he take the job where he gets drone strike. But I'll be so fucking clever." And he's deployed that out with all the casualness of an amateur dramatic society actor. And Mehdi's just gone, "I'll get fucked straight away."
Yeah.
And then all they do is talk over each other.
And look, this is a part of what I'm going to get to. I've got 2 other clips. So really, the next clip is important to play because it's about the killing of Palestinian journalists. And what I realized, we've all realized this, but sometimes when something crystallizes in your head, is that the IDF use the excuse, right? And it's the excuse, it's not the reality, that they won't let international journalists in there because they can't guarantee their safety. Of course, we know they won't let international journalists in there because international journalists will tell the world what's happening for sure. And I just thought about it today, Chewie. Over 200 journalists have been killed by the IDF. So at the same time they're killing literally hundreds of journalists, they're saying we can't let journalists in because we can't protect them from Hamas, whilst they are killing dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of journalists. And this next clip is a little bit of a conversation about that. It's about 3 minutes. I don't know if we'll get through it all, but let's just start it. And because there's one other little epiphany I want to share with you before we wrap up tonight.
There is a belief that Israel is going about now deliberately or systematically killing Palestinian journalists.
There's a belief of that, Piers, because that's what they're doing. So that's why
To be
belief
fair,
is there.
To be perfectly fair, the belief is with a very specific subsect of society, and that is people that can recognize truth when it's put in front of them.
That can read and that can see the truth. All right.
Yeah.
Let's just listen to how he's going to respond.
To silence them. What is your response to that?
Yeah, that belief is wrong, and I have a few things to say. First, about the horrible, tragic mistake at Nasser Hospital. That is not what I envision in terms of Israeli operations. That is a tactical mistake by
So
forces
many
on the
mistakes, they
ground
just
that
keep happening.
saw
So we either attack only Hamas or we just make all these mistakes, but nothing's wrong with what we're doing. They're either Hamas combatants or we make a mistake. What, you mean that? What was it, 87% are civilians? Isn't that what the IDF said last week? Yeah. So that 87% mistakes, that 13% fair targets.
At the same time, we have an enormously capable military machine that can be incredibly surgical, can strike someone through their bedroom wall 3 or 4 countries over, thousands of kilometers away. But on the flip side of that, we're enormously incompetent as well. We can't tell the difference between a camera on a tripod or an RPG on a hospital.
No, it's better than that. I mean, I think Mehdi's going to say this first. Reuters told them that they had a camera in that position and they bombed it anyway. So even if they're going to say we thought it was a Hamas, if Hamas was had the cameras to watch soldiers, Reuters had actually already said that's our camera. Just so you know, this is where we're going to be.
Camera on top of a building, assessed that the camera was operated by Hamas because Hamas has been operating cameras from all civilian buildings, including from hospitals,
Hamas,
in order to monitor the troop movement of Israeli troops and then to detonate IEDs or otherwise to direct combat activity against Israeli troops. And that is why when Israeli troops saw that camera and other activity on top of that building, they engaged.
Other activity like journalists typing and writing notes and, you know,
Children
those
in
activities.
incubators.
Yeah, that activity.
Regretfully, 5 journalists, some of them working for international media outlets, were killed. That is not a desired outcome. That is a mistake, and that should not happen on the battlefield. Full stop. 6 terrorists were also killed.
Why does it keep happening then? I mean, that should not happen on the battlefield. Full stop. Why has that happened over 200 times? Like, question that was missed out there, Mr. Morgan. So if it shouldn't happen, why does it keep happening?
In that attack. When I spoke with 6 Hamas known operatives were killed. When I spoke with people in the IDF, my questions were actually about the second strike, which we saw live on an Arabic network, which I agree looks horrible, should not happen, and is something that I'm waiting for the IDF to investigate and to present findings and to say this is why the mistake happened and these are the steps that we have taken in order to rectify it. And I believe that the IDF will do that. And I believe that this is not what the IDF was seeking to achieve, because it was very clearly aid workers and others that were trying to rescue people.
It's funny when they get in a position that they can't deny. Like, if there's a 1% plausible deniability, they will. So this is so egregious, not even the IDF will deny it. Do you know why? Because we all saw it from cell phones and stuff down the bottom of the stairs, looking up at that. They just can't. They can't deny it, so they have to fess up. This must stick so much in his craw to have to admit it, because if they can find a 1% out, they will use it.
Wounded from the first engagement. So this was not intentional. This was a battlefield mistake in a chaotic or very difficult combat environment of troops that are under fire from civilian buildings where the enemy uses hospitals and schools and mosques and houses in order to fire from. This is the reality in Gaza made by Hamas, which we many times gloss over. No, as I said, they were from that. But first of all, Hamas has fired from the Nasser hospital several times in the past, and Hamas has been using cameras from various buildings, mosques, schools, and hospitals in Khan Yunis, in Gaza, in Rafah, in all of the Palestinian villages and cities. And that is why the IDF thought that the cameras.
Yo.
If this sack of shit was telling the truth, which he's not. We have reports that they have snipers in the area that are accurate enough to hit children in the testicles. Specific body parts as part of a game. Right? So they've identified, apparently, that there's a camera on this hospital that's reporting their location. So you have a choice of using these incredibly well-trained, incredibly accurate snipers to deal with this. Or, alternatively, what else have we got in the toolbox? How about 3,000-pound laser-guided bombs? Why don't we use those instead? We don't have to be careful around a hospital. Like, this is, we couldn't do anything. The only thing we had is these airdropped bombs. There's literally nothing else that we can do to solve this problem than blow up a hospital.
I think the snipers perhaps are on their tea break, Chewie. That's probably why. And so, option
Maybe they've
2.
run out of bullets. They'd used them all on children playing in a sandlot in the middle of their destroyed city.
From memory, Mehdi has a bit of a crack here. So let's just give it another 60 seconds and see where we end, and then we'll wrap up.
That they saw were linked to Hamas, but I'm saying it very clearly. That was not the intended outcome.
Mehdi?
Can I respond, Piers? Yeah. So on this hospital attack, let's just be very clear here, because so much gaslighting going on here. First of all, I'm old enough to remember October 2023 when the world went mad to suggest that Israel would ever attack a hospital. We were told for months Israel would never attack a hospital. Now they proudly attack a hospital and try and justify it with nonsense justifications. We attacked it because there was a Hamas camera on the roof. First of all, it wasn't a Hamas camera. It was a Reuters camera. Reuters already gave the Israeli military their positions. There were no Hamas cameras on the roof. It's a ridiculous new phase of Israeli propaganda propaganda to say it
were
was a
6
Hamas camera
Hamas
justifies
operatives killed in
killing
the
20
strike,
people,
Mehdi.
which
Don't-
was insane.
don't,
Okay, let me
don't
speak. If
forget
you
that.
stop interrupting, if you
Yeah,
stop
but
interrupting,
but
then
I
I'll
mean, if
deal
you're
with
gonna
that
lie,
lie.
at
You already
least
said it.
tell
You said there
yourself
was
Let
some.
Mehdi respond,
No,
There
you're
were
please.
lying.
6 Hamas terrorists that
You're,
were
Let Mehdi
killed.
you're
respond.
lying. I never
Let
get
Mehdi
through a single
respond,
answer on
please.
this show.
Let Mehdi respond.
6 Hamas operatives were not killed. You claim they were killed. No evidence has been provided
Yes,
to the
they
international
were.
media that there were 6 Hamas operatives there. In fact, the 6 photos that were released
Yes,
here,
they
This is a part of Israel, isn't it? This is a part of what they do. And next we'll wrap up with this little thought I had today. But what they just do is say, this is fact, this is fact. Provide the evidence. Don't need to. This is fact, this is fact. It is your consummate, perfect dictionary definition of gaslighting. They are self-referential truths. They say, we say it's a fact, so it's a fact. And then, of course, their supporters, Zionists out there, will say, but they killed six Hamas members. And you go, what's the evidence for it? And they go, well, we've seen it from the IDF, where they haven't shown any, but they say it like it's fact, and then it becomes fact in the minds of many people. But when you get to a place like this, you just get one person saying that's wrong, and then the IDF saying, no, it's right. Show us, well, it's right. And that's pretty much the tactic from here on in. This has got about 45 seconds.
been provided
Yes,
to the
they
international
were.
media that there were 6 Hamas operatives there. In fact, the 6 photos that were released
Yes,
here,
they
2
were.
of them
They
were
were
killed the day
killed,
before.
and that's
One of them
it.
was a well-known.
Yes, they
one of
were
them was a
killed there.
well-known local firefighter who Israel had already dealt with. They were not 6 Hamas operatives who were killed in that strike. As for it being a
There
mistake,
were 6
how can it
Hamas
be a mistake,
operators
Piers,
killed.
when it was a
Mehdi,
double? Can you shut
repeat
up?
the lie
Doesn't
many
even
times.
matter.
It doesn't make it true.
Piers, am
There
I
were
going to get to
6
speak on
Hamas
this show?
terrorists that
Jonathan,
Or
were
are you just
he
going to
let
let
you
one
speak.
person
Let
speak
him
all the
speak.
time?
But I mean, if you're going to lie and you're going to expect me
Well,
to
you
sit
both
here and
accuse
repeat
each
your
other of
lies
lying all the
without
time.
Well, I'm
Let
debunking
Mehdi-
your lies,
let
Jonathan.
Mehdi
You can't handle
respond,
it.
then you can.
This is the worst of this program. And look, I'm showing it, but it's the worst of it. It would, because and we know it's the worst of it. Like, so this is slop tube, yeah? And we know it is because Piers Morgan and his team could have control over this. It's very simple. One gets faded down and one gets left up, and then the other one gets faded down. And this is what they want. This is what rates, right? This is what they want. Now, we're showing it, so we might be a part of the problem, be honest about that, but we're showing it because we're trying to show the response that Mehdi has and what he's putting out there and the information for us to learn from, as opposed to the circus that it really is.
And the
On
world
back.
can see that. Jonathan, we're on Piers Morgan. I get to speak. We're not in Gaza. You don't get to kill me as a journalist. I get to speak here and point out that the journalists were
come
killed
on,
in the
spare
double
me the
tap strike.
theatrics,
There's no
Mehdi.
way you can
The
call that
only
a
thing you
mistake.
do in life
He
is
can't shut
speak.
up, can he, Piers?
The only
world
thing
can
you do in
see
life
he
is
cannot
lie
shut up.
and take money from the
I'm going to keep
Qataris
speaking and make my point. Like
slander
I said.
Israel.
All right, let me.
There you go. That's enough of that one for now. I've got one more little thing to play, but Chewie, do you want to speak to that first, and then I'll play the last? And the last one I'm going to play is like 20 seconds. It's just a little thought I had today.
We've commented on how long Piers Morgan took to realise what was going on in Gaza, something that was infinitely clear to so many of us that he just did not realise.
Yeah.
He bought into Israel's lies about October 7th. He didn't look at it with a critical eye in its historical place, that it wasn't the start of something, it was the continuation of something. But everything, I'm not even exaggerating, this isn't hyperbole, everything that Israel has put out, and let's use October 7th, they've had to revise down how many people were killed. They've had to revise down how many Israelis were taken hostage. They've had to admit that they killed a bunch of them with helicopter gunships at the music festival. They lied about Hamas chopping heads off babies and putting them in ovens. All of that was blown apart by Israeli journalists investigating it. At every stage, their justification for striking hospitals was found to be false. Every time that someone's come out and said, oh, this horrible thing happened, they drove bulldozers over prisoners. No, we didn't do that. And then the truth comes out. Oh, this is too horrible for words. They evacuated a hospital and left babies in incubators. Well, that's so monstrous. That can't be true from the most moral army on the planet, says Israel. And then proof of that comes out. They let babies die in incubators. They murdered journalists. They've murdered aid workers. And every time they hit it, they kind of justify it. It was like, oh, it's okay that we killed 2, 3, 4, 500 people this week, but we got 6 Hamas operatives. Just trust me, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like
the
we
math
said-
isn't. Why are these? This is a pariah state. I honestly don't understand why Israel is not seeing that the fire that they are stoking is their position in the international community. Yeah, this has done such damage to them.
Yeah, but it's because it's not necessarily Israel, like it is, but it isn't. But it's Netanyahu. That's why. It's about one man to start off with. And he's feeding it down. And he can't have this conflict stop because it's this conflict that's keeping him out of the war crimes courts. So I'm not saying it's only him. It can only be him, but he's one of the big reasons for it. This is my last little thing, yeah? And what you're going to get here is just people talking over each other a lot. The content doesn't really even matter, but you know, you're all smarter than me. You'll have got this well before me, but something just crystallized, is that the right word, in my head today about what Israel does with these kinds of conversations.
You have no legal
April
standing, you have no
2025,
moral
Jonathan killed
standing,
15
you have no
paramedics.
factual standing, Mehdi.
April
The last
2025,
time you
Google it.
visited anywhere
Guys are on
near a
Google,
war
April
zone
2025.
was maybe 20 years
I'm
ago.
not a
You realise
Palestinian
nobody
Jew
can
in Gaza,
understand the
Jonathan.
word you
Can't
guys
just
are
shoot
saying,
me.
right?
I
I mean, you
get to
do
speak.
realise that.
Who are you
It's
to
your
fact
show,
check,
They can
Piers.
see it.
Do you
They can
realise when you
propaganda.
both talk at the
Nothing
same
more.
time, nobody can hear either of you? You realise that?
Now, here's the little the crystallization of things that I got today. If you watch this whole interview, and I did, so you don't have to, Mehdi is very measured at the start of it. He lets the guy answer, he talks. As he talks, the guy talks over him. Piers Morgan, you realise no one can hear you when you both talk over each other. That's the IDF plan. The plan of this guy is to not allow you to hear what Mehdi's saying. That's the plan. That's a part of what he's trying to do. So Piers is right. Nobody can hear the like someone said, oh fuck you needs to be a drop on our soundboard. It kind of can't because it's talking over each other and it'll be weird. So the IDF spokesperson has a plan for you not to hear Mehdi, which is why he talks over him. So when Piers goes, do you realise that they can't hear you speak when you talk over each other? The IDF guy's going, I know, it's good, eh? This is what we're doing. That's what we're planning. This is what we're up to. This is what we're doing. And so it just kind of just finally sunk today that this is what their plan is when a combative, intelligent, smart, factual account comes up against you. It also goes to show, unfortunately, and I'll say it again, we're a part of the problem, we showed it, why this doesn't work. Mehdi on with Piers Morgan for 20 minutes by himself, it would be fact, 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 fact. IDF spokesperson on by himself will be lie, lie. Like he'll be saying Mehdi lied, but they don't very often offer much more. It's a little bit like we talk in politics that the left tend to make policy and the right tend to respond to the left's policy. At the moment, Mehdi is spitting facts and the IDF spokesman is responding to those facts. And just to say it again one more time, it finally dropped when I was listening to this and heard Piers saying, you know, if you talk over each other, no one can hear you. Yeah, that's the plan from Israel's side. They don't want you to hear Mehdi. Which then comes back to Piers Morgan is helping the IDF side, no matter what he says about having the epiphany himself, but he's helping the IDF side, the Zionist side, the Israeli messaging, stopping the opposing view getting out. So him having this kind of debate where they talk over each other and you basically get into a slanging match rather than talking about the facts and figures, that's more helpful to the IDF position than it is to the supportive of Palestinian position. And that was a little epiphany I had today, Chewie.